What if the fairy tales we grew up watching weren't just stories about magic and happily ever afters, but mirrors of the real psychological struggles people face every single day? Disney princesses may live in castles and sing with animals, but beneath the glitter and song, their journeys reflect anxiety, trauma, identity struggles, fear, obsession, societal pressure, and personal growth. These aren't just fantasy themes. These are the same inner battles psychologists study in real life, the quiet wars people fight inside themselves when no one else is looking. When we were kids, we saw gowns, crowns, and adventure. As adults, we start to see something else. We start to see coping mechanisms, survival strategies, emotional scars, and the long road toward healing. Today, we're going deeper than ever before into the mental health themes hidden in Disney's most iconic heroines. Not to diagnose them clinically, but to explore what their stories symbolize about human psychology, emotional development, and the ways people adapt to hardship. Cinderella may seem like the classic princess rescued by magic, but underneath, her story mirrors something far more grounded. Her life is defined by sudden loss, emotional neglect, and chronic mistreatment. Psychologically, this resembles adjustment disorder, struggling to adapt to overwhelming life changes while trying to hold on to hope. Her reliance on external rescue and validation, and her hesitation to assert her own agency, reflect how many real people feel trapped in circumstances they didn't choose, waiting for someone else to save them instead of believing they can save themselves. Her true transformation isn't the dress or the glass slipper. It's learning that she deserves more than survival. She deserves a life. Snow White's story begins in isolation. Hunted, displaced, and emotionally alone, she stumbles into the dwarf's cottage, not just for shelter, but for connection. Her extreme friendliness and constant cheer can be seen as more than innocence. Psychologists recognize this pattern as a survival response. People who experience isolation often develop exaggerated kindness as a way to secure safety and belonging. Her sweetness isn't naive, it's adaptive. It's what happens when someone learns that being liked might be the only way to stay protected. Aurora's endless sleep in Sleeping Beauty is often dismissed as a simple plot device, but symbolically, it tells a darker story. Prolonged unconsciousness can represent emotional shutdown. What happens when someone withdraws from life because engaging with it feels too dangerous, too painful, or too overwhelming? Her lack of agency throughout the story mirrors what many experience during emotional numbness. Life continues around you, but you feel frozen inside it. Ariel's relentless collecting, her fixation on the human world, and her discomfort with her own identity resonate deeply with behaviors associated with obsessive tendencies and identity conflict. She isn't just curious, she's desperate to escape who she is and become someone else. That longing reflects a psychological truth many people face. When you feel misunderstood or confined, you begin searching for meaning anywhere else, even if it costs you your voice, your safety, or your sense of self. Belle's relationship with the Beast is one of the most debated in Disney history. Some interpret it through the lens of trauma bonding or Stockholm Syndrome, emotional attachment formed under stress. Others see something more complex, a story about agency, empathy, and seeing humanity where others see monsters. What makes it powerful is that it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. When does compassion become self-sacrifice? When does patience become endurance of harm? Belle's story becomes less about romance and more about boundaries, self-respect, and the danger of confusing change with love. Elsa's emotional arc may be one of the most psychologically intentional portrayals Disney has ever created. Her isolation, guilt, and fear of hurting others align closely with experiences of anxiety and depression. Concealed, Don't Feel isn't just a lyric, it's a coping strategy millions of people adopt, suppressing emotion to protect others while slowly disappearing inside yourself. Elsa doesn't heal by defeating a villain. She heals by allowing herself to be seen, by choosing connection over isolation. Her power was never the ice, it was vulnerability. Rapunzel's years in isolation behind a tower mirror what psychologists recognize in people who experience long-term emotional confinement, anxiety, emotional swings, fear of freedom, and difficulty trusting the world outside. Her rescue isn't just physical, it's psychological reintegration. a return to agency, autonomy, and healthy attachment after years of control. Her story reminds us that leaving a harmful environment doesn't instantly heal you. Healing is a process, not a moment. Mulan's internal conflict isn't really about war. It's about worth. Her fear of failure, her perfectionism, and her desperation to prove herself reflect something deeply human, the belief that love must be earned through achievement. Her journey becomes a powerful narrative about redefining self-worth, not through medals or praise, but through integrity and self-acceptance. Jasmine represents a different struggle, the battle between identity and expectation. She's surrounded by luxury, yet trapped by tradition. Her story reflects autonomy conflicts many people face, wanting freedom while being bound by duty, culture, or family pressure. Her rebellion isn't just romantic, it's psychological. It's the need to be seen as a person, not a role. And this isn't just theory. Real research shows that Disney princess media shapes how children understand gender roles, relationships, beauty standards, and emotional expression. These stories don't just reflect psychology, they actively shape it. Children internalize messages about what it means to be strong, lovable, heroic, or worthy long before they can even articulate those ideas. That's why these characters endure. They speak to something deeper than fantasy. They mirror fear of rejection, the paralysis of isolation, the pain of trauma, the hunger for acceptance, the long road toward healing. These princesses may be royalty in their worlds, but in ours, they tell deeply human stories. Stories about becoming whole, about learning that struggle doesn't define you, growth does. So the next time you watch a princess story, don't just see the magic, see the metaphor. Because real life, just like their stories, isn't about perfect endings. It's about learning to heal, to connect, and to grow. Until next time, stay thoughtful, keep questioning the stories you thought you knew, and remember, sometimes a fairy tale is more psychology than fantasy.